Jason was tired. His ship had crash-landed 3 days ago on a strange desert planet called Kralthun. With no money to repair it, he had agreed to work as a handyman for food and shelter. A local alien woman offered him a small room behind her home. She said he could stay there as long as he fixed pipes and machines when needed. Her name was Sharul, and she was different. She stood over 8 feet tall, with golden eyes and smooth, sandy-colored skin. Her voice was deep, and her attitude was strict. But Jason didn't mind. She wasn't rude, just serious. It was early morning. Jason was finally getting some rest. He lay on a thin mattress, shirtless, with the desert heat making it too hard to sleep with a blanket. He had only thin shorts on. The window was open. A soft wind came in and brushed his skin. For the first time in days, he felt a little peace. Then bang! The door slammed open. Sharul stormed in. Jason shot up, confused and half asleep. Sharul's sharp eyes locked onto the bulge in his shorts. She stopped. Her eyes widened. Her body stiffened like she had seen a ghost. Jason blinked. "Wow, what's going on?" Then she screamed. "Why do you have a mini shy hulid between your legs?" Jason froze. "A what?" Sharul stepped back, pointing at him like he was some kind of criminal. "The sacred desert worm. That shape. That movement. It's alive. It's dangerous." Jason looked down and turned red. "Oh my God, it's not a worm. That's just my me." But she didn't hear him. She was already outside the room, yelling in her alien language. Within seconds, Jason heard heavy footsteps. Approaching, 3 tall alien guards ran in with glowing staffs. One of them had glowing tattoos over her arms. Another wore a metal chestplate and had no nose, just slits. "Where is it?" One asked. "Where's the baby worm?" Sharul pointed at Jason, who had now wrapped himself in a blanket. "It's between his legs," she said. He hid it under cloth. The guards moved closer. Jason held up his hands. Wait, this is a misunderstanding." But the tallest guard narrowed her eyes. "Do not lie, human. We know the sacred worms choose only the worthy." "What the hell are you talking about?" Jason cried. Sharul crossed her arms. "You should have told me before bringing such a powerful creature into my house." Jason's jaw dropped. "I didn't bring anything. This is my body. My biology." The guards looked at each other, confused. One of them said, "He means it is part of him." Another shook her head. "Impossible. No being keeps a living worm attached like that. He must be cursed." Jason groaned, covering his face. "Why is this happening?" Then Sharul took a step closer. Her voice lowered. "Jason, if this is truly part of you, does it always look like that?" Jason's face went red again. "No, I mean sometimes. Depends on the situation." Sharul blinked. "What kind of situations?" "Stress, heat, sleep, I don't know." Jason said. The room went quiet. Finally, one of the guards said, "We must take him to the elder. Let her decide." Jason stood up slowly, still holding the blanket around himself. "Can I at least put on pants first?" Sharul answered, "Only if the worm does not bite." Jason nearly choked. "It doesn't bite. It's not a worm." Forget it." 2 guards escorted him out. The third stayed back, still staring at the empty bed like the worm might jump out any moment. As Jason was led through the dusty streets, locals peeked through windows. Whispers followed him. "That's the human with the sacred worm. They say it sleeps with him. He must be chosen by the sands." Jason sighed. He was tired, hungry, embarrassed, and now being treated like a holy criminal because of biology. Welcome to Kralthun, he thought, where your private parts become public news. Jason sat on a cold stone bench, still holding the blanket tightly around his waist. 2 alien guards stood beside him. Watching his every move like he might suddenly explode. In front of him was a round chamber made of glowing sandglass walls. Alien symbols floated in the air like slow bubbles. It was quiet, too quiet. Then a tall shadow moved. The elder had arrived. She wore a long cloak made of desert feathers and scales. Her face was wrinkled, but her eyes burned like fire. She walked slowly, holding a twisted cane made from a dried shy-hulled spine. Jason gulped. I woke up 30 minutes ago, he thought. Now I'm in a worm court, in my underwear? Sharul stood beside the elder, arms folded, looking proud. This human, she said with confidence, has a living sacred worm between his legs. I saw it. I felt its presence. It moved. Jason buried his face in his hands. Can we stop calling it that? The elder turned to him. You dare speak during sacred examination? I'm not hiding anything. It's just a normal body part. You don't have those here? The elder ignored him. She motioned for a short alien with 6 arms to come forward. This alien carried a glowing scanner. We shall scan him, the elder said. Jason jumped up. Wait, no scanning my. Too late. A green beam passed over him. The 6-armed alien looked at the results and blinked in shock. It's connected to his bloodstream, she said. It's alive, but not separate. Not parasitic. It's him. The elder raised an eyebrow. A true flesh worm? Part of the male's body? Sharul leaned in, confused. That's possible? The 6-armed alien nodded slowly. Yes, but only in very rare species. Jason stood awkwardly, still clutching his blanket. Yeah, well, surprise. The elder leaned closer. Then tell me, human, is it dangerous? Jason blinked. What? No, it's not dangerous. Can it spit venom? No. Can it stretch or strike? Jason hesitated. Not in the way you're thinking. Sharul tilted her head. So it does stretch? Jason's face turned red again. That depends. Can we stop this? The elder stepped back. Silence. This must be discussed in private. She pointed at Sharul. You are his landlady. Until we understand more, he must remain under your watch. You will report any sudden swelling, aggression, or mating behavior. Jason's eyes widened. What? Sharul sighed. Understood. He must be fed proper meals, kept calm, and not allowed near public areas during the warm moons. Warm moons? Jason asked. What do you think I'm going to do, go on a rampage? No one laughed. The elder said. One final thing. We do not know if this fleshworm spreads. If it touches others, will it grow new ones? Jason stared at her. You seriously think it multiplies like plants? Sharul, thinking deeply, asked, if I touch it, will I grow one too? Jason nearly fainted. Later, back at the small house, Jason sat on his bed, finally dressed. Sharul stood in the doorway, arms crossed. They were both quiet. Finally she spoke. Why didn't you tell me you had something like that? Jason stared at her. It's not something I usually bring up in conversation. She nodded. It is strange, but also strong. Jason blinked. You think it's strong? Sharul looked away. Some women in the village are asking about you now. They think you're special. Jason groaned. I'm going to be famous for the wrong reason, aren't I? Sharul's eyes narrowed. Do not worry. I will protect you. Jason looked at her, surprised. Protect me? She turned to leave, from the women and from yourself. Until we understand more. I am watching the worm. Jason slumped against the wall. That's not even the weirdest thing I've heard. Today, one thing was clear, he thought. I came to fix machines, not explain anatomy to aliens. But now, I'm the most wanted man on the planet because of my junk. Jason didn't know what was worse, being nearly arrested for having a body part, or being assigned to alien biology class like some kind of science exhibit. But here he was, sitting in front of 10 curious alien women, all staring at him like he was a rare zoo animal. Some even had notebooks. One had a paintbrush, as if she wanted to sketch everything. Sharul stood in the back of the room, arms crossed, watching silently. Jason whispered to her. "I thought this was a private health meeting." She replied flatly, "This is private. Only the local female scholars are allowed." Jason glanced at the wide-eyed group again. "That's a lot of scholars." At the front of the room, the old six-armed alien from before clapped her hands. "Welcome to today's class. Rare reproductive organs of male Earth humans." Jason nearly slid off his chair. The instructor continued, "This species carries a flesh worm known as a penis in their native tongue. It is soft when calm. It grows when excited. It is used for both urination and reproduction. Curious, no?" The aliens all nodded in awe. Jason whispered under his breath, "This has to be a nightmare." The instructor tapped a glowing screen. An image of the male anatomy appeared. The aliens leaned forward, fascinated. The structure contains soft tissue, no bone, yet it can become hard. That is rare among known desert species. Fascinating. One alien raised her hand. "Can it wag like a tail?" Jason turned red. "No, it doesn't wag." Another asked, "Can it be trained? Like a pet?" Jason groaned. "It's not alive by itself." A third said, "Can it tell when danger is near?" Sharul finally stepped in. "Stop, he is a guest, not a creature for poking." Jason gave her a thankful look. Finally, someone on my side. But then Sharul walked closer to the instructor. "Still, is it true that when the male is close to a female he likes, the flesh worm moves on its own?" Jason nearly coughed up his lungs. "Please stop calling it that." The instructor answered calmly, "Yes, it is triggered by scent, touch, and emotional bond. That makes it highly reactive and honest." The aliens gasped in wonder. One whispered, "So we can tell when a human male desires us just by watching?" Jason stared at the ceiling. "I want to go home." Then things got worse. "Next, we shall watch a mating video provided by Earth Records," the instructor announced. Jason jumped from his seat. No, you do not need to watch that." But it was too late. The lights dimmed. A strange Earth video began to play on the wall. Alien women leaned in, their eyes huge. One gasped. "It moves so much," another whispered, "and it fits there." Sharul stood still, her arms slowly lowering. Her expression was unreadable. Jason covered his face with both hands. "This is illegal on 10 planets." Later that night, Jason sat in his tiny room, his head buried in a pillow. Outside, the desert wind howled. He wanted to bury himself under the sand. Then soft footsteps. Sharul stood at his doorway. "You are very brave," she said. He looked up. "For surviving biology class?" She nodded. Many males would not have spoken. They would have run. Jason sighed. "I would have run. My legs just didn't work." She stepped closer. "I now understand. It is not a worm. Not a weapon. It is you." Jason blinked. Her voice was softer than usual. "And you are not dangerous," she added. "Even if some of the other women are now trying to invite you to tea." Jason sat up. "What does tea mean here?" Sharul looked away. "Breeding offer." Jason flopped back down. "Great. Fantastic." She hesitated, then asked, "Does it choose the flesh do your part? Does it choose who it responds to?" Jason nodded slowly. "Yeah, kind of. It's connected to feelings." She looked at him carefully. "So, if it ever responds to me." Jason turned red again. "Then you'd know." Sharul stepped back. "Understood." She turned to leave, then paused. "I will make sure no one forces you to drink tea, but if ever you feel warm, you may tell me." Jason laughed softly. "Thanks. I think. Sharul gave a short nod and walked away. But for the first time since arriving on Kralthun, Jason didn't feel like just a guest. He felt seen. Jason woke up to the sound of humming. Not a soft hum. A deep, vibrating alien hum, like a large cat singing to the moon. He opened one eye. Shaw, Arul was in the middle of his room. Again. She wasn't looking at him. Thank God that she was sweeping sand from the floor with a large cactus branch. Do you always clean like that? Jason mumbled. It is a special broom, she said without looking. It keeps away mating spirits. Jason sat up slowly. Mating spirits? Sharul stopped sweeping and looked at him seriously. They are invisible. But if they smell too much human skin, they gather and whisper dangerous thoughts. That's why you must wear a shirt while sleeping, Jason groaned. I was hot. Sharul pointed to a small woven vest on the chair. It is your anti-temptation cloth. Wear it. Jason held it up. It was tiny pink and had a warning tag in alien script. Are you serious? Yes. The council said you must remain calm. At all times, I will help you. Oh good, Jason muttered. A personal anti-horny bodyguard. Later that day, Jason tried fixing a water pipe outside while Sharul stood behind him like a shadow. When he bent over, she gasped. He turned. What now? She pointed. It moved. Jason nearly dropped the wrench. It's not even. I'm just bending over. She narrowed her eyes. Still, it may be sensing someone nearby. I'm sensing you breathing down my neck. She tilted her head. I am simply observing for safety. Jason rolled his eyes and muttered, I feel so safe. Mealtime. They sat on opposite sides of a round table. Sharul placed a bowl in front of him. It looked like thick green jelly with tiny worms inside. Jason poked it. Is this food? Or punishment? It is cooling slimefish stew. It keeps blood pressure low. And the flesh worm calm. Jason stared. I miss pizza. Sharul pushed a second bowl toward him. And cactus milk, also cooling. Jason looked at her. You know, not everything in my body is out of control. You can stop treating me like a time bomb. Sharul didn't smile, but her eyes were softer. I am only trying to be careful. Your kind is new here, and some females have shown interest. Jason sipped the cactus milk. It was sour but drinkable. He asked quietly, Is that why you've been following me everywhere? She didn't answer right away. Then she said, Partly, and partly because I do not trust the others. They want to touch without asking. Jason looked surprised. But you also, she interrupted. I screamed. I did not touch. Jason chuckled. Fair point. Then silence. Sharul stood up. I will place a scent wall between our rooms tonight, to avoid accidents. Jason raised an eyebrow. What kind of accidents? Sharul looked at him seriously. If you dream something, and the flesh de view it responds. I do not want to hear it again. Jason turned red. Oh God, that happened once, and I was asleep. She walked away calmly. Once is enough. Midnight. Jason lay on his mattress, staring at the low ceiling. A faint line of blue powder had been poured on the floor, a scent wall. As promised, he sighed. This planet was hot, weird, and full of people obsessed with his groin, but strangely, he didn't want to leave anymore. There was something about Shaw single quotes RUL that she was serious, yes, but strong, brave, and under that hard shell, maybe even lonely. Jason turned over. Then he heard it. Soft footsteps, a shadow outside the door. Sharul? He called. The door creaked open. She stepped in halfway, carrying a cup. I brought you cool root tea, she said quietly. It helps with dreams. Jason smiled. You really take your job seriously. She walked in slowly, placed the cup beside him, and stood there. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then she asked, almost in a whisper, "Do you miss your kind?" Jason looked up. "Sometimes. But I think I was more alone with humans than I am here." Sharul nodded slowly. "Good night, Jason." "Good night, Sharul." She left. Jason stared at the cup. Steam curled into the air, mixing with desert moonlight. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But tonight, the air felt less heavy, and the desert felt like home. The desert was quiet. Too quiet. Jason stood near the house, fixing a solar panel on the roof. Sweat rolled down his back. He could feel Sharul watching from below, arms crossed like usual. He turned and grinned. "You can relax, you know. It's just a solar panel, not a bomb." "I don't relax when I'm guarding a male with rare equipment," she said. Jason laughed. "It's not equipment." But Sharul didn't smile. Instead, she sniffed the air. Then her body tenc. Jason paused. "What is it?" she whispered. "Sandwind tribe. I smell their oils. Someone's here." Before Jason could speak, boom. A loud flash exploded in the air. Smoke filled the ground. Jason coughed and stumbled, falling off the roof and landing hard in the sand. Dark shapes moved through the smoke. He saw tall figures with masks and curved blades. "Target secured," one shouted. "Get the fleshworm bearer." Jason's eyes widened. "Oh, come on." He tried to run, but two strong aliens grabbed him and threw a sack over his head. "Sharul!" He screamed. He heard her battle cry cut through the smoke like a blade. "Stay away from him." Then chaos stopped. The sound of metal against bone. Alien roars, screams. Jason was dragged across the sand, his arms tied. He couldn't see anything. Only feel the heat, the shouting, and the panic. Then silence. He passed out. Unknown hours later, Jason woke up in a dark stone room. His wrists were tied with desert vine. There was a single torch on the wall. A deep voice spoke from the corner. "You are lucky, human. You are worth many females." Jason turned toward the voice. A tall alien male with gray horns and silver eyes stepped forward. He wore gold chains and a red scarf around his neck. "I am Varlock," the alien said proudly, "leader of the Sandwind, and you are now my guest." Jason snorted. "This is the worst hotel I've ever been in," Varlock laughed. "You have a rare gift between your legs, Earthling. Our people believe it brings good harvest, strong children, and endless pleasure." Jason groaned. "Why does everyone keep talking about my junk like it's a magic fruit?" Varlock leaned in. "I will give you protection, food, and 10 females. If you stay," Jason blinked. "10 what?" "Females. Chosen to bond with you. You will breed warriors for the Sandwind." Jason stared. "I'm not a breeding horse," Varlock frowned. "You would reject such an honor?" Jason's voice turned serious. "Yes. I already have someone watching over me. And she doesn't need chains to protect me." Meanwhile, Sharul ran across the dunes like a storm. Her body was covered in cuts, but her eyes burned with fire. She followed the broken tracks in the sand, signs of struggle. Dropped rope, Jason's torn shirt. They took him north. To the old Sandwind fortress. She gritted her teeth. No one stole from her territory. No one touched her human. Back in the prison room, Jason pulled against the vines. They were tight. He was sweating, dizzy. Just then the wall exploded inward. Dust filled the air again. Jason coughed. Then he saw her, Sharul, standing in the hole she had just punched through. Chest rising and falling, eyes glowing like a wild beast. She looked terrifying. She looked amazing. Varlock hissed. "You come alone, warrior?" Sharul stepped forward. "I don't need an army when I'm angry." Jason grinned behind her. "Took you long enough." Varlock raised his weapon. Sharul moved like lightning. She struck him with her knee, disarmed him with a twist, then smashed his head into the wall. He dropped like a sack of sand. Jason blinked. "Remind me never to make you mad." She walked to him and cut the vines with one sharp claw. "You're late," he teased. She helped him up. "You're trouble." They both smiled. Later that night, they sat on the roof together, watching the desert stars. Bandages covered their arms. Jason broke the silence. "You risked everything for me." Sharul didn't answer right away. Then she said softly, "You are not just a guest anymore." Jason looked at her. "Then what am I?" She turned, eyes steady. "Mine." Jason didn't laugh this time. He just nodded. And for the first time he felt like he belonged, not just on this planet, but with someone. The desert wind was gentle tonight. Jason sat cross-legged on the roof, staring at the stars. The air was warm, dry, and strangely peaceful. But his mind was not. He heard the door behind him open. Sharul stepped onto the roof, moving silently as always. She sat beside him, just close enough for their shoulders to almost touch. For a while, neither of them spoke. Finally, Jason broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder what it's like to just be normal?" Sharul raised an eyebrow. "I've never been normal," Jason chuckled. "Me either, but lately, it feels like I'm some kind of walking mystery. A thing everyone wants to study, or steal, or worship." She looked at him. "That is how our holy beasts feel, I imagine." Jason sighed. "I'm not a beast." "I know," she said. He turned to her. "Do you?" Sharul didn't look away. "You are strange, but not a beast." Then she added, quieter, "You are kind." Jason tilted his head. "You've never called me that before." "I've never seen someone refuse 10 females and a golden bath," she said with a small smile. Jason laughed. That golden bath had worms floating in it, luxury worms. They both smiled, then silence again. Jason cleared his throat. "Can I ask something?" Sharul nodded. "When you first saw, it, were you scared?" Sharul was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Yes, I thought it might bite." Jason chuckled. "It doesn't. I know that now," she said. "But back then, I thought it was a hidden weapon. Some kind of hidden creature you kept for defense." Jason smiled. "So you were scared of me?" She shook her head. "Not scared of you, scared for me." Jason blinked. "Why?" Sharul didn't answer at first. Then she turned her golden eyes toward him and said something he never expected. "Because I've been alone for a long time. And you made me feel seen." Jason stared at her, surprised. "And the worst thing," she added softly, "was how fast I got used to having you here. The way you complain. The way you try to fix everything, even things that don't need fixing. It became part of the house." He gave her a small grin. "You mean I became part of your house?" Sharul looked away. "I meant what I said after I pulled you from the Sandwinds pit." Jason's voice was soft. "You said I was yours." She nodded once. "I don't take those words back." Jason's heart thumped in his chest. "I don't know what I am to you," he said. "But you've done more for me than anyone back home ever did." Sharul turned to him again. "Back on Earth, were you ever wanted?" Jason thought for a moment, then shook his head. "Not really, I was just extra." "You are not extra here," she said quietly. "You are rare and valuable. Not for your fleshworm, for you." Jason's throat felt tight. "You really mean that?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out slowly and placed her hand over his dot. It was the first time she touched him on purpose. Warm, steady, careful. Jason didn't pull away. Then she whispered, "If you ever feel something changing in you, toward me, I want to know." Jason turned to her, searching her eyes. "Even if it's the thing between my legs?" She didn't smile. "Especially that. It does not lie." They sat there, fingers touching, under a sky full of moons and stars. No more secrets. Just the sound of their quiet breathing and the desert wind that finally felt like home. The desert was celebrating. Lanterns floated through the night sky like glowing jellyfish. Drums echoed in the distance. The Unity Festival had arrived, a time when tribes gathered in peace, shared stories, and offered thanks to those they cared. About Jason stood near the edge of the crowd, wearing a simple desert robe Sharul had made for him. People waved, smiled, even bowed a little. Some still whispered, "That's the human with the sacred worm." But Jason didn't mind anymore. He had survived worse, like being kidnapped or being scanned, or being studied in front of a crowd. Now he was something else. Not a guest, not a freak, not an accident. He was Sharul's human. Sharul approached through the crowd, tall and proud in armor polished with gold sand. She looked like a warrior and a queen all in one. When she reached him, Jason smiled. "You clean up." "Nice," he said. She looked him over. "You look less attackable than usual," he grinned. High praise. Then she surprised him. She reached out and took his hand openly in front of everyone. Jason blinked. "Wow, PDA on Crawl Fun?" She shrugged. "It is the festival. If anyone touches you now, I can legally break their spine." Jason laughed. Romantic. Later that night, they sat in the same rooftop spot where it had all started. Stars above. Warm breeze. Her hand still holding his. Jason leaned back on his elbows. "So, do you still think I have a baby desert worm between my legs?" Sharul narrowed her eyes. "Do not tempt me to bite you again." He laughed. "That was not a bite. That was a scream and a sprint." Sharul looked thoughtful. "You know, I asked the elder again about the earth male organ. She told me it has many names." Jason groaned. "Don't do this." She said, "In your language, it can be called." Sharul paused to read something from a folded note. "Junk, meat stick, and..." She looked up. "Trouser lizard." Jason nearly fell off the roof laughing. "Please burn that list." "I made copies," she said proudly. Jason shook his head. "You're impossible." Then, silence. Sharul's voice turned soft. "You made me laugh, Jason. That's good, right?" "No one makes me laugh. Not since the war. Not since I lost people." Jason looked at her seriously. "I'm not them," he said. "But I'm here." She nodded. "Yes, and you stayed. Even after everything." Jason's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because of you." They looked at each other. Then she said it, simply. "I want you to stay." "As mine." Jason's heart stopped for a second. Then he smiled. "You had me the moment you screamed at my boxers." The next morning, Sharul woke to the sound of sizzling. She walked into the kitchen to find Jason shirtless, humming, cooking eggs on a hot plate made from an old engine coil. He looked up and grinned. "Breakfast." She blinked. "What is that smell?" "Greasy." "Goodness." He walked over, handed her a plate, then leaned close and whispered, "And yes, the flesh worm is calm. For now." She stared at him, dead serious. "I wasn't asking." Then after a beat, she smirked. Jason laughed. "You do have a sense of humor." She took a bite. "Still deciding if I regret it." Outside, the sun rose over the desert. Two silhouettes stood on the roof, one tall, armored, and sharp-eyed. The other smaller, human, and always smiling. Hand in hand. No more fear. No more hiding. Just a strange, funny love that began with a scream and ended with a shared breakfast. And from far below, an old neighbor whispered to her friend, "That human and the landlady, I think they're mating now." The other replied, "I knew it. It was the worm."